Hello everybody, this is Bloodwaifu here, and I'm going to be explaining the items of Dota 2 for all you beginners out there. Now, initially, I was going to do this similar to my first basics video, but I thought, well, maybe it might be more convenient for you guys if you were to see the items in action in-game. So, let's get started. The first items, I'm going to change this view here, is to this. There's two different views for the shop.
30
One is this
seconds.
view where it tells you the names of the items, and it has multiple side tabs. And the other one is this one where it displays all different items at once, which you can use once you understand which item is which. I prefer this view, and for this video I will be explaining to you each of the items in this view. So first off, we're going to talk about the consumable items that you will need to know about in Dota 2. First up is Clarity Potions. Whenever
Measurements
you use
made.
a spell,
Bombs built
you use mana.
and
A
set.
Clarity Potion will help you. Hold on. Oh, I have WTF mode turned on so I can use these things without worrying about the cooldown. But if you use a Clarity Potion, it will heal a certain amount of mana per second over time. This is useful for characters who have low mana pools or heavy spells or both, because it basically is 50 gold for an extra 150 mana, which that amount of mana usually costs something like 1,000 gold to purchase. Next up is tangos. Tangos are basically healing potions. Except what's interesting is that you need to eat
Science.
a tree in order to use it. So you click on this, and you click on a tree, and it'll activate. And it restores a small amount of health per second. So it gives you 115 health, and there are 4 charges. So if you use them all back to back, in 64 seconds you will restore 460 health, which is good. I mean, basically in 1 minute, I have 473 health, so in 1
Good
minute,
plan.
if I use tangos back to back, I can go from 13 health to full health, which is a pretty big deal, because when you can stay
Up
in
we
lane, you can keep getting
go.
experience. Next up is a healing salve that heals 400 health in 10 seconds, and is cheaper than tangos. Now, the reason you want to use this is if you want to heal quickly. But the difference is, if you pop a tango, and it's going off, and someone hits you, the tango will keep healing you. If you're using a healing salve and someone deals damage to you, you will lose the remainder of your healing. So, usually when
Off
you're
we
buying your
go.
starting items for a game, you'll buy tangos and a salve, depending on the situation. I'll get into starting items in a second. Actually, our starting items will probably be at the end of this video, but regardless, it will be in this video at some point. Next up,
Woo!
if you've played League of Legends, you know about the Teleport Summoner spell. Here we have something called a Town Portal Scroll, which is over here for a quick buy. It costs a 100 gold, and for 75 mana and on a 65-second cooldown, you can teleport to one of your towers. You cannot teleport to minions like you can in League of Legends. So you click on this, click on the tower, and there you go. And then you're in lane. This will work for any this will work for any
Find a
tower,
place.
and it will even work for the fountain as well.
What was that?
Next up,
Didn't
the
see
most
anything.
important item in this game, in my opinion, is the courier. Because you need to spend a town porter scroll to make it back to base, and because you have to go back to base to pick up your items, it's difficult when you're way out here to make that long trip back to base and then walk all the way back out here. So, you have a courier who will pick up your items for you and bring them to you. Now, this is a custom courier I have named Clancy the Fierce. It's a little bird. He's cute. But basically, this is usually a donkey. So people sometimes call it the donkey, and you can upgrade it into a flying courier, and most people call this the crow. He floats his little sailboat around. He's really cute. Sorry. Now, the last important consumable item you need to worry about is sentry wards. These reveal large portions of the map for you. Now, hold on. Let me do something real quick.
Huh?
We'll talk about this item in a second, but I'm gonna just buy it real quick so I
Is
can
this
do
for
this.
experiments or
Your
ambushes?
top tower is under attack.
What's the difference?
Here we go. There's this large part of the map that you can't really see all that well. But if you stick a sentry ward down, boop,
Your bottom tower
you now
is
have
under
vision
attack.
of this area.
Oh,
which is a
man,
pretty
this
big
totally
deal in Dota to
harshing
have
my
vision.
mellow.
Now the favorite parts for people to ward
Excuse
right
me, sir,
here.
but it's your top tower. It says it's being destroyed.
and right here, and
your bottom tower is
hold on.
under attack.
right here. Because this gives you vision of what's called the rune spots. And these runes here are little buffs that will allow you to do whatever the heck you want for a little bit. Like this one is a bounty rune that just gives you money.
Let's go.
But we'll talk about that in another video. This is an item video, not a rune video.
Yes.
So. I'll explain this item to you in a little bit, what it does. And that's not how it works in-game, by the way. Sorry. Next up, I'm going to talk about some other items that are important. These are starting items. These are really cheap little stat boosters that you can buy at the beginning of the game that help you as far as your basic statistics. So let's say this is the beginning of the game, and I start with 625 gold. Techies is an intelligence hero, and I have some very expensive spells. So I'm going to pick up some standard regen, pick up a couple of clarities. I've spent, that's 335, so I've got, you know, about a little under 300 left. This cost a 150, so I can buy a Mantle of Intelligence and an Iron Branch. And this gives me +4 intelligence and +1 to strength and +1 to agility. So this takes my mana, if you look at this real quick, I'll drop these items. My mana was 286, but with these it's 338.
It says it's being
And
destroyed.
these each give me 150 mana, so my actual mana that I'll be able to cast things
Your
with
middle
is
tower is under
638. So your primary items that you first pick up are usually items that help you survive. They give you these consumables, help extend the
Your
amount of
middle
time and the
tower
amount
is
of stuff
under
you can
attack.
do. And these tiny little stat boosters are to help you in lane. Now over time, you'll want to build them into stuff. Now as for this one, you don't usually build a Mantle of Intelligence on Techies because he doesn't like buying Veil of Discord or Dagons, which those are both items. So usually you don't buy this on him. Usually what you want to buy is something like a Soul Ring, so you work towards that. But anywho, let's get rid of this nonsense. Alright, so next up, now that we've gone over starting items, over here you have a suggested item build for your character. Now in certain MOBAs, the suggested items are terrible, like god awful, but in Dota they're actually very accurate and very good builds to go for. So I suggest that whenever you're learning a new hero or trying to play Dota for the first time, you just buy the suggested starting items they ask you
Good
for.
luck, little guy.
We already have one.
You're
We
gonna
don't
need
another
it.
one. Alright, we'll take this away now. So, now that we've discussed
Your top tower
basics
is
of
under attack.
consumables and
Can
starting
we
items,
pause,
I'm going to
please?
start
I'm
going in depth a
terrified
little
beyond the
bit into
capacity for
different
rational
items that
thought.
are important for every character to know, every person who's playing to know about. And the
Your
most
top
important item in
tower
the
is under
game
attack.
for everyone, besides the courier, is boots. These make you so you walk faster, and since how
Sure.
quickly you can
Quit
participate and
arguing.
how well you can maneuver the map is dependent upon your movement speed statistic, boots are very nice. And the boots here will upgrade into 5 different types. One gives you extra mana and the ability to restore mana in an AoE. That AoE affects your allies, so supports like to buy arcane boots so they can keep their friends and allies well stocked up on mana.
Your
Tranquil
middle
boots
tower
give
is
you
under
a
attack.
lot of regeneration and some armor, which makes them very powerful defensively. But the regeneration and extra movement speed that they give are lost whenever you get hit or whenever you attack. It is not whenever you cast spells, though, so aggressive supports, like building tranquil boots instead of
Your
arcanes.
bottom tower is under attack.
Boots of travel are extremely expensive, but they have the ability of being a town portal scroll, and they also boast the highest movement speed base of all
Your
of the
bottom
boots.
tower is under
In
attack.
addition, they have the unique ability. Remember earlier I said you can't teleport to creeps with the TP scroll. That's not true for travel boots. They can teleport to any structure, and they can teleport to your own allied creeps. There I am. Okay. Phase boots are a speed boosting skill that allow you to move fast and right click or auto attack, but if you use a spell or an ability or an item, you lose the boost. That's the most important thing to do. If you're chasing someone down and you've got phase boots, you always need to turn them on, because it'll give you a large boost in speed. See, I went up to 429 there.
Jeez.
But if I were to go up and then use a spell, it's gone immediately. So don't try and cast or use spells when you're using phase boots, or you'll lose the boost. Let's see, what are the boots we look at? And then these are power treads. These are known as these are basically the boots of damage carries, because they give attack speed and a selected attribute. So they're essentially capable of changing things. Let's say that I'm taking a lot of damage. I can move my boots to strength, which will give me 8 strength, which will give me... I'm bad at math. 150 something health. But then if I swap it to intelligence, it'll give me 100... I don't know, I'm still bad at math. Yeah, about 104 mana. And if I switch it to agility, it'll give me a point of armor, and it'll give me some attack speed. And the boots already give you attack speed, which is a pretty big chunk of attack speed.
Your middle tower
So they're
is
awesome.
under
They're
attack.
really good boots to have if you're going to be carrying, or if you just want to have some, you know, options with your boots.
Bottom tower is under attack. Hey, forget about
Next up on my handy dandy list, we're going to talk about Blink Dagger. Blink, if you played League of Legends, Blink Dagger is basically Flash. The big difference is that its range is significantly higher
Your middle tower is under
than
attack.
Flash is, as you can see. In addition, it has a 12-second cooldown rather than a 3-minute cooldown, and if damage is taken, it cannot be used for 3 seconds. It costs a good bit of money. It costs 2250 gold, but it's one of the most powerful items in the game. So, never underestimate a Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger is good on pretty much anyone, except for a few select heroes that already have blinking as an ability. Now, let's see. We won't really talk about this. Alright, we'll talk about this. Magic Wand. Magic Wand is an item that builds out of 3 iron branches, a magical stick, and a recipe. Some items require a recipe to combine different items you have in your inventory. Magic Stick gains charges based on enemies using abilities in a nearby area. So, whenever someone casts a spell at you, this gains 1 charge. When you activate it, it consumes all of the charges at once to give you health and a mana based on charges stored. Before, it used to be a max charges of 15, so if my math is correct, it was 225 total. Now they've increased it to 17, so if you have max charges on your magic wand, it is 255 health and mana. And if you remember, the Tangos only restored 115, and the Clarities only restored 150. Imagine if you could just restore 255, bam, in an instant. That's how powerful Magic Wand is. It's a really strong item, and if you don't know what you're doing on a new character, get a Magic Wand. It's amazing. And it's also really cheap, only 500 gold. If you want to, you can start the game with a Magic Wand. I do not suggest that. That's a bad idea. Items in this screen you do not want to start the game with, just because you miss out on having this regen. or if you have to buy the courier or rewards, you just can't afford them. Next up on my handy dandy list of items that you guys should know about is Urn of Shadows. Unfortunately, I can't really display it because there's no enemies here. But Urn of Shadows gives you 6 strength and 50% mana regeneration. And anytime an enemy hero dies within 1400 units, which is about to here, so really far away, you gain a charge. And when you gain a charge, you can use it on an ally to give them a free healing salve, or you can use it on an enemy to give them a pure damage
Middle tower, take
over
it off
time
your Christmas
effect.
card list.
That's
It's
a true
gone.
by accident, 'cause I keep saying League of Legends. Which is pretty awesome. It's a good, and again, it's cheap. It's
Your bottom
875
tower is
gold,
under
which means if
attack.
you're a support and you don't really know what to buy, but you
Your
want to buy
bottom
something
tower has
aggressive,
fallen.
get
Towers
yourself
are
an Urn of
being
Shadows,
bulldozed,
because it's a
but for
great
what?
aggressive
This is
item
all
for supports to
meaningless.
pick up. Next time we're going to talk about is here.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Mechanism is the best support item of all time.
Off we
It
go!
gives you healing. Hold on, let me get my boots of travel back. There we go. Ah, son of a bitch. Alright, there we go. It heals you and any allies within a radius. So when you take taking damage. Oh no. Anyways, so I'm taking damage here, and I'm not really all that healed. And then my creeps are taking damage, but I want them to push this tower, so I can do this. And then it costs mana and has a cooldown. All these things cost mana and have cooldowns, but I haven't been doing it because WTF is on, so I can show you these items. But basically, when it does this, it gives an armor buff and a healing buff to yourself and all allied
Your
champions.
bottom tower is under
Now,
attack.
there
Why
is a
this
buff
so
that you
bloody
guys need to know
difficult?
about that creeps
What?
cannot be affected by multiple mechs at the same time.
Yes!
That would just be silly. But, anywho.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
That's about all you need to know about Mechanism. Mechanism is an AoE healing ability that is very useful, and everyone will love you if you buy them. Okay, let me cheat real quick. Don't do this in real games. This doesn't work. Okay, next up on my magical list, we're
Your
going to
top
be
tower is
looking
under
at
attack.
intelligence items for a little bit. Which are... oh, let me sell these things out so I got an inventory. Force Staff,
Your top tower is
Dagon,
under attack.
Aghanims... oh, whoops. Hold on, sorry.
Your top tower is under
I
attack.
should keep track. I should keep two
you
things in my
guys
inventory.
doing some great work.
I forgot how to make it so that you can buy anything from anywhere on the map, I'm afraid. And Aghanim Scepter, there we go.
Ah, scepter.
So, the first item I'm talking about is, once again, another support item. Surprise, surprise. It's called the Force Staff. It cost, I believe, 1900, 2250. It's the same price as a Blink Dagger, except instead of being 2250 all at once, you can buy bits and pieces of it and work yourself up to it, which is useful because supports have to put themselves in the line of fire a lot, and it's really dangerous to farm this up. So what it does is it pushes any target unit 600 units in the direction it is facing. So if I don't think I can force that. Ability can't target that. So if I click on it and activate it, and I push this guy, whoosh, gets pushed a little bit. And you can double click it to use it on yourself to give yourself a little shove forward. Now this doesn't have to be used only, oh, get over there, on heroes. You can use it on creeps too, which is kind of funny to do. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm having too much fun. Let me go back over here. It's very useful because you can use it on enemy heroes to make them force them out of position. And if an ally is running away, say like, this isn't me, some guy's trying to come back to base and someone's chasing him down, whoosh, you can force push him into the base. Although I don't suggest trying to do this too often, because if you do it wrong, you're gonna kill your friend, and that's just not a good plan, and he's gonna be kind of upset with you. Next item I'm going to talk about is Dagon. This is a simple nuking scepter. That the only reason I'm talking about it is because it's one of my favorite items in the game, where you activate it and it shoots a little beam at people. Bzz, bzz, bzz,
That way.
bzz. That's all it does. It has a long cooldown, it has a 35-second cooldown, but the interesting thing about Dagon is that Dagons can be upgraded. Some items in this game can be upgraded multiple times
I'm trying to think.
to give yourself, hold on, there, can be upgraded multiple times
Excuse
to
me,
give
sir, but it's your
yourself
top tower. It says it's being
sorry,
destroyed.
extra potency. The Dagon goes from 400 burst damage to 800 base damage, which doubles its damage, essentially, and the cooldown goes from 35 seconds to 15 seconds. So it's one of the more potent items in the game, just because it will start being a lot more powerful, a lot more fast. It also increases the range. So, Dagon's a neat little item, and the last item I'm looking at is Aghanim's Scepter. Some characters in this game,
Quit
like
arguing.
techies, have the ability to gain an Aghanim Scepter that will upgrade their ultimate ability. Techies has an upgrade to his ultimate, where it increases the level of damage, and it increases the cast range. Hold on, sorry, I was getting typed at.
Let's go.
Okay, so Dagons are a really fun item to work with, just because the nuking potential is a lot of fun to have. Let's see, next up, we want to talk about Scythe of Vice. Oh, dang it. Son of a gun. We're going to talk about Scythe of Vice. There we want to talk about Scythe of Vice. We want to talk about Skull
Pardon the interruption,
Basher.
sir, but it's a phone call from your
And we
middle
want to
tower.
talk
It says it's
about
being destroyed.
Shadowblade.
Shadowblade.
These two items
Your middle
I don't
tower is
suggest
under
really
attack.
for too many big, like, I'm sorry, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Scythe of Vice has a very unique ability called Hex, and it turns anything you pointed at into a pig, which is very powerful. And again, this has a very long cooldown of 35 seconds.
Huh?
What?
I'm just showing you how you can turn things into a pig. Now, this doesn't just count for these creeps. It'll count for anything that you can target as an enemy can be turned into a pig. So when you look at this giant fellow in here, who's Roshan, who will kill you, you turn him into a pig.
Yes.
He's a really big pig. You can turn him into a pig. Oh god, he's gonna kill me. Oh god, run away. Oh god.
Your
Okay.
bottom tower
So.
is under attack.
That is Scythe of Ice. It's a very expensive item, but it gives you a lot of strength, a lot of agility, and a boatload of intelligence and mana regeneration. So usually, if you're playing as an intelligence carry, this is your big item. This is the thing that you want to get and you
Your
want to be
bottom
really
tower
strong
is
with.
under attack.
Yes.
This item is called the Skull Basher, which I'm not really on a good character to show you what it does, but I'm still going to try and see if I can get lucky. Skull Basher gives a chance for you to... There it goes. Gives you a chance to stun enemies on hit.
It worked.
So eventually, whenever I
Your
right-click
bottom
something,
tower is under
they'll get
attack.
stunned for
Ding
2
dong.
seconds.
Come on.
Let's go over here. And you can tell they're stunned by the blue spiral above
Excuse
their
me,
head.
Sir, but it's your top tower.
If they do
it
get
says
stunned.
It's being destroyed.
Unfortunately for me, I am very unlucky. Let's see. Let's try that again. Dang. You know, I don't think it's gonna happen again, just because I don't believe that I'm that lucky. Go over here. Go over here. There we go.
See,
There, that's the stun animation. Now let's just go back to base real quick before I die. And there we go. So, that's what Skull Basher does. It's also kind of expensive, running in at $29.50. Yeah. But it's a very useful item for melee carries because it gives them a chance to stun enemies and gives them a serious amount of damage and a decent amount of strength. The next item is called Shadow Blade, which has damage and attack speed on it, but also gives the ability to turn invisible and sneak around. So it can be used to sneak up on someone, or you can activate it to run away from someone trying to attack you. It's a very useful item for carries who are just learning to play the game. Next up, we're going to talk about Black King Bar. And that's about all the things that you really need to know about active items in this game. We'll go over a few other items in a little bit. So, for Black King Bar, it has the awesome ability called Avatar, where it gives you spell immunity and magic damage resistance. So, what happens is, anytime someone tries to cast a spell on you, turn this thing on, you get big and golden, and they can't cast spells on you. Now, this isn't 110% true. There are a few spells in the game that specifically say Pierce spell immunity, and although it gives you magic resistance, it doesn't give you physical resistance. So, for example, Techie's landmines are physical damage. So, as a result, it pierces spell immunity. What's nice is that recently, to help new players into the game, each skill has a secondary stat called pierces spell immunity. So, for example, landmines have point target, damage type physical, pierces spell immunity, yes. My stasis trap, however, has a pierces spell immunity, no. So whenever you want to know if an enemy is capable of piercing your spell immunity, just left click on their character and check their abilities, and you'll be able to see. So for example, if I'm playing as this guy. You don't actually play as the courier, never do this. And I'm like, oh, Takey's is over there, and I just bought my bird BKB. I wonder if he has anything that goes through BKB. I can left click on him. Oh, his landmines do. His trap does not. His suicide squad does. And his ultimate does not. That's good. So now you know, if you use BKB, how much he's going to be able to do. Now, let's see. You can't get rid of BKBs after you buy them, by the way. They are stuck with you for life. Because BKBs have a long cooldown and a long duration, but as time goes on, their duration becomes shorter and their cooldown becomes shorter, until it eventually becomes a 5-second duration and a 55-second cooldown. Now, if you watch professionals play Dota 2, when a professional first buys Black King Bar, they don't use it immediately. And the commentators will comment on it, because that first 10-second duration BKB is a pretty big deal for the teamfight you use it in. So they don't want to just spend it on something silly. And finally, we're going to talk about the items that you as new players should not touch. Yet. There are a few items in this game that you really shouldn't pick up until you've actually learned a lot more about Dota 2. These items are Hand of Midas, Divine Rapier, oh, hold on. Divine Rapier.
Divine Rapier. Lord of mercy.
And of course... Actually, that's pretty much it. Oh, and Mask of Madness. Until you learn how to play this game, you don't need to buy these items. Oh, hold on, let me sell these so I'm not confusing. You don't need to buy these 3 items until you learn how to play the game. Hand of Midas is a little attack speed steroid item that costs a butt ton of money because it gives you extra gold and extra experience whenever you use it on a creep. This is a money item that makes you more money, but it is basically a double down. if you know that you're not going to get harassed or dealt with for a while, and you can afford to sit around and farm, you get a Hand of Midas. And unless you're a prodigy of Dota, you won't know when that time is yet. So don't buy Hand of Midas, play the game, get used to it first, and then learn it. Next up is Mask of Madness. It has an active. It has a passive of 20% lifesteal, which is neat, but not amazing. And its active gives you 100 attack speed and 30% movement speed, which if you're wondering how much that is, it's a lot.
Your middle tower
Let's
is
get,
under
let's
attack.
get the Blink Dagger back real quick so I can
Blink
warp around the
dagger.
map, if you don't mind. And let's go over here. Here, I'll go over here and show
Pardon the
you.
interruption, sir, but it's a phone call from
Right
your
now,
middle
this is my
tower.
standard
It says
attack
it's being
speed.
destroyed.
Bleep, bleep, bleep,
Next.
bleep, bleep.
Your middle
Bleep.
tower is under
It's kind
attack.
of slow, isn't it? This is your attack speed on Mask of Madness. Bleep, 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 bleep. See, it's significantly faster,
Your
and my
bottom
movement
tower
speed
is
was
under
270,
attack.
now it's 351. If my base wasn't so terrible, it would be a lot faster. For example, let me buy some boots over here real quick. If I activate Mask of Madness now, I'm at 416. I'm rocketing around I'm just zooming
Your top
around.
tower is under attack.
But there's a caveat to all this. You take 30% extra damage.
go.
So if I'm over here,
Your bottom
these guys are
tower
hitting
is
me.
under attack.
they're doing a little bit of damage, but not much. When I turn this on, I start taking a lot more damage. And it's a little bit difficult to tell it because it's creeps, but
Your
that
bottom
hurts
tower
a
is under
lot.
attack.
So basically it's an item that's a double-edged sword. And although I'm sure you are all very intelligent people, it again takes a while before you can understand the situations during which you should equip this double-edged sword. And now found for the most double-edged sword of all time, Divine Rapier. According to mathematical statistics, Divine Rapier is the most gold-efficient item in the game. It is extremely powerful. It gives you the most damage out of any item in the game. It makes you amazing. And if you
How's the weather
die, you
Huh?
lose
Yeah,
it.
It's raining here. Yeah, rubbish.
It
isn't
drops onto the ground.
Oh, well.
And if your allies pick it up, they can give it back to you. But if an enemy picks it up, they get to keep it, and they get the bonuses for it. That is not good. Now you can move it into your stash, which I didn't even know about. Apparently you can drop it from your stash, which I also did not know about. That's kind of funny. But really, do not buy this item until you've learned to play the game better. I've played this game for 1,500 hours,
We're
and I
going,
only
we're
buy
going.
Divine Rapier to make my friends upset, because they know I'm not good enough to use one. And neither are you. No offense. Just don't. Just buy other items and win the game normally. Divine Rapiers are rarely needed. So,
Science.
that's actually pretty much it, all I wanted to cover in this video. Oh wait, no, there was one last thing I was going to cover. Where's that stash? I don't care. I'm going to take this Blink Dagger. So we discussed earlier about how the courier will bring items to you. Hold on, let's
The
go
enemy's
here.
middle
Bling,
tower
bling,
has
bling,
fallen.
bling. There are four shops that are not the standard 2 shops in either player's base. These are the 2 secret shops that have these various items that you need to build the more powerful items in the game. For example, to build the Scythe of Vice, you need the Mystic Staff and the Void Stone from the secret shop. And there's a secret shop also right here in the Dire Side Jungle. There are also these little things called the side shops, which sell random junk. And some of it, however, is interesting, because some of it, like the Orb of Venom, the Ring of Health, and the Energy Booster, are only available in the secret shop. So sometimes, if you're like, man, I really want to buy Arcane Boots, but I don't want to walk all the way over to the secret shop, you can walk over here, buy a pair of boots, and buy an Energy Booster, and there you go. Hold on. Creep, stop it. And now you've got it. Now you got Arcane Boots. Meanwhile, if you're... I don't care. Put it over there. Come here. There. if you tried to buy arcane boots way back here at the shop, secret shop not in range. You can't do it. You can't buy arcane boots. It sucks. And now the final thing that's the most important thing about side shops, hold on, keep going around here. Okay, here we go. Is the part where you can buy town portal scrolls. So if you forgot to get one, or you just didn't have the money for one because it's the start of the game, but you want to go back to base,
You sure?
you can walk over
Quit
here,
arguing.
buy a scroll, and go home. And that's really important. If you're not doing too well in lane and you want to try and run away, you can run over here, buy a scroll, and immediately start trying to warp over here, and it'll work out great.
Off we go.
And that's about it for the shotgun tutorial on items. Long story short, when you're first playing a character, just follow these items and ignore the situational. Just do what they tell you up here, and that's it. So, good luck guys, have fun playing Dota 2, and I'm going to sign off.